We used to teach that if an imperative were formed on the present tense stem, it means to continue to doing what you're doing. And if the imperative was built on the aorist tense stem, it was an imperative telling you to don't even start something. Fortunately, we now know that that is not true, but it is interesting that it does pop up from time to time in translations. In 1 Timothy 5:16, the Greek says, if any piste, it's an adjective used substantively, so if any woman, or in the NIV, a woman who's a believer, has a widow or has widows, and you'll see the NIV has to add inner care. We'll look at other translations as well. This is the form I wanted to talk about. The NIV translates it, she should continue to help them and not allow the church to be burdened, in order that the widows who are truly widows, they can be helped. I've talked about the second half of this verse in earlier blogs, but I want to talk about this imperative. We have aparketo from aparkeo, meaning to come to the aid of someone. And because it is a present tense imperative, the NIV translates it continue to help. Now, that's kind of the old way of looking at imperatives, and I was really surprised to actually see it in there. The present imperative does not imply that you're currently doing something and you should continue to do it. The present imperative is an imperative for a continuous action, as opposed to an aorist imperative that would be an undefined or an aoristic action. If you look at some of the other translations, you'll see how they handle it. This is the NASB. If any woman who is a believer has dependent widows, again, they've italicized it to make it clear that that word's not there, but it's trying to make sense of that construction. She must assist them. And, obviously, assisting a widow in your family is a continuous thing, all right? It's something you can do for her over and over and over again. That's the continuous aspect of the imperative. But certainly it doesn't imply that this person is currently caring for the widows in her family. In the ESV, if any believing woman has relatives who are widows, so they've added in has relatives to try to make sense of it, let her care for them. That's a good translation. The NRSV, if any believing woman has relatives who are really widows, again, an odd statement, let her assist them. They got that one part of it right. The CSB reads, if any believing woman has widows in her family, let her help them. A good translation. And the NLT, if a woman who's a believer has relatives who are widows, she must take care of them. So you can see the different translations are struggling a bit to make a sense out of the verse, that it's someone who has widows that are truly in need is the idea. It's someone has widows in their family. And again, it's a question of, are you talking about a grandma, or is it bigger? Is it an aunt, something like that? But the real issue is, and again, I was a little surprised, in the NIV, it says continue to help them, which is not at all what the present imperative implies. Of course, the real question of this verse is, does your church and do you care for the widows who are truly alone, who have no means of support? Are we and our churches doing what Paul tells the Ephesian church to do?